Hello and welcome to Namaste with Renee. I'm your host, Renee Marcou, CEO of the iHeart Academy and president of the nonprofit Brady's Foundation. In this podcast, we talk about how to enhance your wellness and disrupt the limitation mindset so you can thrive with a healthy mind, body, and spirit. Hello and welcome to Namaste with Renee. I'm your host, Renee Marcou. So thrilled to be here with you in this episode. I have somebody very lovely and so amazing to introduce you to. And I want to welcome her to the show, my new friend, Megan Doyle. She is an author of a book called Come Home, Finding Comfort in Who You Are. Just hearing that makes me feel all cozy. She is a certified yoga therapist who works with people who have found a lot of success in their life, but haven't really found their happiness, their joy, love, and contentment. She lives in San Diego in the United States with her amazing dog, Hazelnut, that I just met. And she has served veterans, entrepreneurs, and professionals in her career. And I'm so excited to welcome you to the show, Megan. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Renee. I'm so elated to meet you. It's such a joy.
Thank you. And same to you. And I just love what you're doing in the world. I know you're such a heart-centered woman with a mission. And I just am so excited to introduce you to my listeners.
Oh, thank you for seeing me. It's so nice. So nice.
Absolutely. It's such a good feeling to be seen.
We should just for a moment into that.
Yes. I always say, I'm like, let's just marinate in this feeling.
Oh, totally. That's exactly the right word.
Yeah. So tell us, how did you get started on your amazing journey to all these beautiful, loving things that you have in your life and your business?
Oh my gosh. Wow, well, that's a big question. So let me be a little bit short.
Okay.
So I guess, I could do the thing where like, well, it all started long ago, but I'll just start with time.
Right.
So, I've always had this urge to help out. I think my dad really directed me in that. My mom was a nurse. My dad was just a really loving guy who introduced me to Buddhism when I was quite young. Not in any practical way, but he called me Buddha and he would poke my belly and then make me laugh. And I just thought it was pretty nice. And so I became a lawyer actually before I was a yoga therapist. And I became a lawyer because I was one of those like, I'm going to change this world. I am going to do it. It needs change. I'm going to do it. And so I went into law. I became a social justice attorney. I worked in prisons and jails. I worked on behalf of people who were mentally ill, a lot of dual diagnosis with drug addiction. And it was good. It was an amazing experience. It was hard. And I was constantly on the edge of burnout. I had an executive director at one of the organizations I worked for who said, do you think that you could teach some yoga to everybody? And at the time, I was really a little bit, I gotta be honest, like put upon, like really? And you also want me to teach yoga. Okay. And so, but yoga has been an important part of my life since I was about 13. And I sort of thought like, okay, yeah, yes, I'll do that. I taught this class, Renee, and a couple of clients came. And it was, I was a good lawyer. Like I was pretty good. But when these clients did a little yoga, I saw them for the first time with just peace in their face. Like I had won for them before. We had won. We had been successful in some cases, but they were content. They were happy. They just had just a glimpse, right? And it was in that glimpse that I realized I'm in the wrong place. Like this is not what I'm meant to do. I want to share that. I want to share the thing that makes people settle and find that lovely feeling, and not the one that just has them keep coming back to fight and fight and fight.
Right.
So it was a huge leap of faith. My I had a wonderful mentor who said, go make money in the law first. So I tried that for about 3 months and I was like, no, it's not for me. And so I left and I wandered around for a little bit of time. Like I wrote a lot, I studied massage, I studied a lot of yoga, and went to India, did good stuff, talked to a lot of people. And I sort of put it together. I found a teacher named Gary Kraftsow who was amazing for me. And I also worked with the Desikachar family in India. And it was just so special. I came out the other end and having realized that, well, this is what I've been trying to do all along, just finding ways, finding techniques, really, finding a technology to help each individual that I meet find a little bit of peace, just still that constant chatter in the mind. And so I've been doing this now for about 15 years. And I love it. Like every day is a beautiful day. Every experience with a student, a client is special. I never know what's going to happen. But I always feel so privileged that I get to be in connection with people who are looking and wanting to feel good. It's like this moment of, I don't know if you've ever been in a church service or been in like a celebration somewhere and you see somebody throw their hands up, right? And there's just that praise. And I just feel so enormously grateful in my life that I get to see people have that experience, of, I feel a little better.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I could tell for sure that that is the driving force behind what you do, like really seeing that in your clients and witnessing their aha moments or those breakthroughs, and they just get to feel that sense of expansion.
Yeah, expansion. That's a lovely word for it. Somebody asked me a while ago, many years ago, like, well, what's your mission in life? And at the time, it's so amazing to watch our own missions evolve, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And for a long time, I used to think like, well, my mission is to change, right? And then I realized that was sort of when I was a lawyer, my mission is to change things. And then it started to expand into, well, but how change things, right? Because change is always happening and I'm not the controller of that. And so then it started to turn into, well, I'm going to change by caring, right? And so then it was like, okay, my mission is to care. And it was so fascinating. Then it turned in one day, and I remember this day, I was sitting with somebody and, we learn so much from the people that we get to work with. I always tell them, like, you're my teacher, right? You're telling me everything that I sort of need to learn. This woman said, it's just really nice to feel loved. And I thought, oh, I think that's actually my mission. It's just to love. And that's really become the greatest expansion, right? And it's turned into a little bit of like, okay, well, to love without condition. I'm gonna continue to learn how to love without condition. And it's not always easy. And I think it's important to acknowledge, like, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. It's hard. There are definitely times when my little fire rises up and goes, no, if I want to love right now, but then like, wait a minute, that's on me. That's my little obstacle, so very nice to just be able to share a mission and to feel that, that purpose. We all have it, right? We all have that purpose.
We do. Yes, absolutely. And I think that's such an important topic now, like, especially as we're shifting and changing into some new dimensions and people are looking for more heart-centered mentors to help them get to new levels. And that, just even when I started yoga, just in yoga, the whole yoga field, if you will, like back when I was a teen, the classes were like next to empty, and now like I became a yoga certified instructor as well back in 2018. And even just seeing those classes like completely full and teaching all different, people who are in different walks of life, like at different points of life, and watching what yoga and heart-centered connectedness can really do for people, even sometimes if they don't necessarily want to show that it is transforming them, or that they are willing to express their emotions. Like you can see that people will just even comment, oh, I just feel lighter, and we know what that means, right? And it's like, if it's new, new feeling or something for somebody, they know we still have this practice or this opportunity to go in and tap into the well of emotions that are within us. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I love that you brought that up too, that it's, so often individuals, we look outside of ourselves for the emotion, like how you said, it's not about, like when that sense comes up within you, the fire you said, like comes up and you're like, oh, but I really don't want to react like with love right now or something. Right. And we all have those places too, which can be great mirrors for us as well. But it's also too a great reminder to know that we are the only ones who are in charge of our emotions. So we can fuel the fire, or we can send a ton of love and light. It's like always, however we perceive certain situations and all of that beauty.
Moment by moment. Yeah. Moment by moment, my dear. Moment by moment, right? Like, okay, fire right now. Is this fire coming out hot, or is this fire coming out as pretty light?
Yeah. So amazing. I'm so curious about your certification in yoga therapy. Will you share with us about that?
Yeah, of course. And I was listening to you talk about, yoga classes being filled. And I think this is one of those amazing realities. We are evolving, we're shifting. There's been so much hardship. There's always hardship, but we're in a place now where we're actually able to communicate with each other about all
Yes,
the hardship so quickly,
exactly.
and maybe become a little bit like overly addicted to hearing a lot of the bad news. But in some ways, right, beautiful, it's a gateway. We hear all of this bad news, we're so in it, that there's some light in us that says we must lift ourselves up out of this. And I feel like that's such a big catalyst for this evolution that's going on.
Yeah.
So yoga therapy, I gotta tell you, when I decided to leave the law, I talked to a friend who had been a yoga teacher of teachers. And I said to him, I've been doing yoga since I was 13. I've been teaching yoga since I was 22. I don't want to just train in teaching yoga classes. I mean, I've done that and I know how to do that. What is it what's it called when you work with people more deeply? And this guy was so wonderful. He said, I don't know, but I think you're talking about yoga therapy. And at the moment I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And so this was in like 2012, I think. And so this particular guy had come across somebody when he was in Bali, and that person had mentioned Gary Kraftsow, who was my teacher. I looked up Gary Kraftsow, I was very interested in him. And it turned out that he had trained with Krishnamacharya and Desikachar in India. And I used to train in Ashtanga yoga with Patabi Joyce in India. And so Patabi Joyce was also trained by Krishnamacharya. I thought, okay, great. This is the same lineage, right? This is the same. I'm gonna check this guy out. He teaches a yoga therapy program. There's quite a number of yoga therapy programs now, but the idea of it really is what the original intention of yoga is. So yoga's chitta vritti nirodha is from the Yoga Sutra, right? And it means yoga is to still that chatter in our mind. We all get so taken by it, and we actually think it's us. We think like, oh, I don't have any attention because it's so loud in there. Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't actually focus. It's so loud in there. Yeah, but that's everybody. That's all of us. We all share this occasional dysfunction, and it occasionally turns into a normality for all of us, right? But we all have the capacity to still those voices. Now, that's where yoga comes in, and it's work, right? And so yoga therapy is recognizing that for each person that comes along, there's preconditioning there's the conditioning that they've gone through since the time they were born or in the womb. And if you're inclined to think this way, which you don't have to be, but from previous lives, right? From other incarnations, from other experiences, even in their own family karma, right? Their own bloodline or their own soul line. There's all of these conditions and experiences. And so while a class is so wonderful because it brings people together and we get to breathe together and move together, a yoga therapy approach is generally a little bit more idiosyncratic, right? It's a little more individual. Like you come and we're going to sit together and we're going to see what is the gateway. Are you a body-oriented person? We're going to go that way. We're going to look at other dimensions like the mind and the personality and its construct, all of the different roles that perhaps you've played in life, and maybe some of the roles that you've exiled because I don't want to think about that role that I used to play, right? But we're going to start to invite those in because they're power. And when they're exiled, you don't get to hold their power. And so we invite them back in. And as we start to create this more whole being, that's healing. And I think of it like, this is why I called my book Come Home, right? We're creating this beautiful home. We want to heal all of our parts because it's our soul that lives in here. And so in yoga therapy, that's generally the purpose. We want to get to the place where we can be quiet at home, listening to that still small voice of the soul that really is giving us the guidance to love, to be compassionate, to be forgiving, to be joyful, right? It's just inherent in us. But we can all get it, right? If my body hurts, then it's really darn hard for me to sit there and be like, I'm compassionate, I'm so joyful. It becomes a bit of a falsehood, right? And if my mind is going bonkers with all sorts of habitual thinking, like, how am I ever going to get through this? Nothing ever turns out right for me. Oh my gosh, I don't know who I am. All of that. Well, then, yeah, it's going to be really hard to sit quietly and feel forgiving, and to feel like, oh, it's okay. I'm so grateful for what I have. That's hard. That's hard. And so yoga therapy is really, I look at it as finding tools in collaboration with the people that I work with that will help them to become whole so they can hear their own still small voice of their soul. It's not about me being the person who's going to give them the answer. It's about them knowing who they are because they're the answer for their existence. It's them. And that aha moment when they realize like, oh, I'm the divine. Oh, that's special.
Definitely. And do you see that you do this in multiple sessions with people? Like, is it something they come back to fine tune and really learn how to go deeper with that still small voice?
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I want to say, I do work in groups too, therapeutic groups, and we'll work on certain topics. Like we'll work on low back pain. Great, we can do that together. But then we'll also work on grief. That's one of my favorite things to work with is grief. And especially in Sangha, when we work in community with grief, we start to understand how to build our strength again. And usually when I do workshops, it'll be, maybe 3 to 4 weeks, and then folks will continue on, maybe individually. When I work individually with folks, I usually ask that we do like 4 or 5 sessions together to get the lay of the land. And I always look at it, it's a journey. We got to go out and we got to collect the pieces that are missing and bring them home. We got to bring it all home. And then we got to be willing to go home ourselves and look at how we want to put it all together. So I have some folks that, have worked with me for many years. I have some folks who fly in from Europe and we have a session every 6 months and then they cruise back. And so it just depends. It's always idiosyncratic, right? It's as unique as the person in front of me.
Wow, that's incredible. Oh my goodness. I love hearing this. It reminds me so much of coaching in a way, which is what I do. And, when you're in session with your clients, are you practicing yoga in different poses as well? Or is it more like face to face, like heart to heart? Is it like that? Right.
I mean, it depends, right? Again, it always depends. That's what my teacher used to always say. It was a very unsatisfying answer. But it depends, right? So like a great example is I had somebody come the other day and she had excruciating neck pain. And so it's really hard to be in session with somebody when she has excruciating neck pain. She's not interested in going deeper into an issue that's been kind of plaguing her heart for a little bit of time. No, she's concerned about her neck pain. So we might do a few poses, and but they're gentle, and they'll be very appropriately chosen to allow relaxation, to allow greater stability.
Mhm.
Every session will include some breathing. So we'll do pranayama in every session. Every session will include visualization or some meditation. Depending on the person, we may do a little chanting. Depending on the person, we may do a little bit of yoga nidra. Depending on the person, we may just talk, right? And so, and then of course, I have a few people with whom we pray, and it's so special, and it's so
Yeah.
special. All of it is special, but there are definitely those times when people find that place where it can be very quiet together, and then we're just in a place of worship together. And that's
Yeah.
special. Yeah.
That sounds amazing. I know for sure that next time I make it out to San Diego, I'm coming to one of your classes.
Oh, I'd love
For
it.
sure, I will be there.
You could always join me on Zoom, my dear.
Oh, true. Okay, so you have your Zoom channel up. Amazing.
Yeah. On
Oh,
Fridays, we do a really lovely, I don't call it a therapeutic yoga class, so because I like to be a little subversive sometimes, but I call it loving yoga. And in every Friday class, we learn some of the techniques to bring home and put into our toolbox to help heal ourselves, right?
wow.
And so we just spent about 5 weeks learning how to do metta meditation, loving kindness, and how to channel that light first towards ourselves and then towards our loved ones. And then that very ambitious, challenging part of sending it out to those with whom we may not always feel awesome. So we did that, and we just started moving into some new terrain on learning how to do appropriate breath work for your condition. So being able to read your energy a little bit,
Oh,
so that you can settle yourself or lift yourself up to have the stimulation
mhm.
to be attentive and focused.
Amazing. Oh my goodness. I'm just thinking like, wow, it would be like a spa weekend to come and like experience all of the beautiful work that you do. Is this what got you into writing your new book?
Ah, um, yes, the book was really inspired by my work with veterans. I had this amazing opportunity for 4 years to teach veterans of the US military how to teach yoga. And the
Wow.
coolest thing about it was covered by their GI Bill. And I mean, it was so fun. It was hard, but it was also so fun. Most of the folks, when they first started, the first cohort, they were into it, but a lot of the folks, they had no idea what they were getting themselves into. They just knew it was covered by the GI Bill. They had studied to be personal trainers. They thought that this might be something to add on, and plus they get a subsidy, and so let's do it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then they start to learn yoga. And a lot of these, I mean, some of these guys were big. Some of them were professional bodybuilders. Most of them were athletes. Everyone was injured. Everyone had some trauma, obviously. And it was just amazing to see, one, the camaraderie, the support of all of these men and women for each other in the healing process. I was always so just enormously honored to be in the presence of that. So much love and support for each other. But then also to see sometimes the depths of the despair. They had given a lot of their lives to do something that felt very important. And on return, life was hard. Life was hard in the military, but life was hard getting out too. And, you know, here in San Diego, we have a big veteran population. And unfortunately, some of these men and women come out and they're given medication for the trauma, they're given medication for their despair. But that's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. It's just a Band-Aid. And so some of these men and women would talk to me about their medicine cabinet just filled with prescriptions. And they were still crying at night, unable to sleep, really challenged by what they had seen, the people who they'd lost, the family members that they'd lost in some circumstances. And then, you know, plague upon plague, they get out and other people get out, and sometimes then there's suicide because they're out and they don't know what to do. Plague upon plague, right? And so I realized, like, what I'm doing in this class, what this class is doing with each other, what this class is allowing an opportunity for, is a safe place to come home. Let's come home. Let's come home and be together and share love with each other and recognize that we support each other. And it's okay to cry about desperate situations, and it's okay to have anger about things that you couldn't control. And it's beautiful to learn how to do the work yourself instead of outsourcing it to anyone else. Learn how to do the work yourself so that then you can help lift up those around you as well. And so these men and women just inspired me. They just inspired me. And I would watch them take their yoga to teach in their children's schools, to teach at their church. I had people that would say, I don't want to learn this yoga. It's the devil. I don't know what this is, right? On the first day, they're teaching in their church.
Oh my gosh.
You found your way, right? So amazing. They teach it to their clients. They teach it to their families. One retired Navy guy had 3 kids. And when he first came in, these kids, all teenagers, all basketball players, were like, oh my God, Dad, what are you doing? Totally thought he was hilarious for doing this. And by the end of the 6 months that we had together, he was teaching the basketball team yoga, and the boys were coming to class with him to learn more yoga.
Oh gosh.
Just
amazing.
Yeah. So I wrote that book really to put on paper what was happening in that class, to make it available as a structure, as a framework. It's like engineering for ourselves, right? So it has a lot of questions. I mean, I think of the book itself as a really long love letter to anybody who's ready to hear it. Like, I love you, I love you, I love you. But I also created, I think, a framework to say, like, look, here's the questions you have to be willing to ask, and they're not going to be easy. But you have to ask questions about, what's the condition of my body? What's the condition of my energy? And how do I feel that? What's the condition of my mind? And can I actually separate myself enough to feel the mind as an instrument rather than as a controlling force? And what's the condition of my personality? Do I like it? Do I know how to love it? Am I friends with my personality? And do I put my personality first? Or do I know how to sometimes let my personality settle back so that my spirit can come forward and lead the way a little bit, give me some guidance? So it definitely isn't a book that gives answers, but it does ask a lot of questions. And I think the other thing that's lovely about it is something that I saw among the veterans is, you know, yoga is a beautiful tradition, but the word itself means union. And so when I think of yoga, I think of, you know, it means to yoke. We're harnessing ourselves to the work that must be done. And so when I think of yoga, I think we can't just look to the traditions of India. They are beautiful. But we can also remember, I mean, I was born in the States in this body for a reason. I'm a white woman and I'm in San Diego and I'm meant to serve for a reason. And so we have to look to our own origins, what was the faith I came into, and how do I recognize that there's wisdom there? And what's some of the training that I had in law? How do I apply some of that wisdom too? And that's the true yoga, when we're willing to say there's wisdom from so many traditions.
Yeah.
The Native American tradition, the European philosophical tradition, the Gnostics, there's so much beautiful, beautiful wisdom out there. And when we bring it together, well, we just have this wealth of human resources that we can draw from, right? And so the book also offers that, some sort of, look, it's not just from India, although they did a really good job of systematizing it, but we have a really beautiful fountain from all cultures that we can draw from, that, people who have been passing their candlelight along one after another.
Yes. Oh, I love that. That is so amazing. I can't wait to check out your book.
Thank you.
Do you have it with you to show to the camera?
I have it here. Well, this is my author copy, so it has a little bit of a thing. This is where all my notes are, things that I change. But this is my book. It's called Come Home, Finding Comfort in Who You Are. And I think it's so pretty.
Yes, it's gorgeous. And where can people find it?
So it is available on Amazon. So you can find it on Amazon and it will ship out from there. And I also have some on my website. I have some available. And for your listeners, I'd love to offer a discount if you pick it up at my website, knowthyselfyoga.com. Under books, you can get it for a discount. And what did we say the discount code was?
Renee 20.
Yeah, Renee 20. So if you enter that in, you'll get it for cheaper.
That's amazing. And tell us what the website is again.
knowthyselfyoga.com.
Beautiful. And everybody who's listening, you have to check out her website. It's literally beautiful. I felt like when I went on it, I was going on a journey. So you're going to love it. So definitely make sure to go to knowthyselfyoga.com and reserve your own special copy of this book. As you can tell, Megan is so passionate and so empowered as she shares this book and her message, this divine light message that she has for each and every single person who chooses to be a reader. And wow. I mean, I could continue on like for hours just listening to you and hearing your beautiful stories. And I just, I appreciate you so much for being here on Namaste with Renee. And I also know too, I would love for you to share your Instagram handle as well, because I know that's where you and I originally linked up. And what's your Instagram handle?
It's Know Thyself Yoga.
Well, that's so perfect. It matches beautifully. And everyone, she really is such a beautiful, loving light. And ever since you had written to me about being on Namaste with Renee, every interaction we've had has always been so loving and so unique and genuine. And I just appreciate you for that in my life. And I appreciate what you're doing for the masses, Megan. It's really powerful work that you're doing. And I know just being in your space and collaborating with you, co-creating today has been really soothing for me. So thank you again so much for being here and sharing your beautiful story.
Oh, thank you, Renee. I'm so delighted that I have a new friend over in Florida. So.
That's great.
And thank you for your kind words and your open heart. I'm so happy that you were willing to chat with me.
Thank you so much. And right back to you. So I always close off the episode with saying the light in me honors the light within each and every single one of you, all of the beautiful listeners around the globe. And to you, Megan, again, for being here. Thank you so much. It has been a divine pleasure and an honor to have you in my space today. Namaste.
Namaste, my dear. Thank you so much.
Thank you.